Hey guys, Huju here. Why are we down here in my basement? Well, it's December, second weekend of December, so for all practical purposes, my outside flying days are over for 2017, with the exception of maybe the timber. We have snow outside, not a lot, a little bit, and the temperatures have been below 20 and into the teens, so hasn't really been ideal flying weather. I can take the timber out with skis. I have skis for it, but it's not something I'm going to do often. There is a flying day coming up with the flying club. I think New Year's Day they have an outing. I'll probably fly my timber on that day. But I thought what I would do is, because it's winter time and not flying outside, I'd show you all some of the projects that I'm doing this winter, some of the builds that I'm going to do. And at the same time, I'll let you see a little bit of my shop area. Alright, so I'll show you some of the, well, here's the shop real quick. Not much. Standard basement workbench. You know, one time I thought about making that an HO train layout, but it's just become my workbench for airplanes and home projects. But that's where everything is right now. I do most of my work right here. Got all my paints and glues and my prop balancers and my small detailed repair station with the alligator clips and a magnifying glass and a light, and of course the soldering iron for wiring. This is my tackle box that I keep all of my tools and small replaceable parts. Anything that I can work on the plane in the field, it's in there. That's a small PC computer repair kit, and I use some of the small tools in there as well. Sometimes I use the kitchen table, the nice kitchen table up in the kitchen to work on the planes on a nice day when it's sunny out and it's bright. But my wife doesn't have to know I do that, so typically it's down here. You see my basement area. Got a wood stove way down on the far end. And what I got on the table right now, I got two airplanes on the table. First one here is it's an FMS F-18 64mm. It's kind of a rebuild. I bought my original FMS Blue Angel F-18 a little more than a year ago. And after flying it 3 times, it was a handful. And after struggling to fly it 3 times and not being able to get it trimmed the way I wanted it to, I ended up crashing that one, and I lost it, and I took my eyes off it for a second, and by the time I picked it up again with my eyes, it was already nose down and going full bore to the ground. So while it was technically repairable, it was impractical to repair it. I mean, I could have pieced it together and put surgery on it, and it might have become an airplane version of Evel Knievel when it was all done. This is the original one that I had that I crashed. And after all the heating with the heat gun, or the hair dryer actually, and soaking it in hot water, I was able to get the foam to return to generally a good shape. I mean, this was all twisted up earlier. It's amazing if you leave something alone long enough after you heat it up and warm it up with water. If you leave it alone long enough, it tends to straighten itself out. So technically I could have put this back together, reinforced some areas and put that in there and repainted the whole thing, but it was trimmed so bad I decided I was just gonna get all new wings and new fuselage and try putting it together better. What I ended up doing was I ended up replacing all of the foam parts. I ended up ordering some wings, blue wings, and some blue verticals and horizontals online at a couple of different sites. It still had some of the spare parts. I was not able to get a blue fuselage for it, so I got a gray, leftover gray fuselage for the FMS version 2. It was the old Vigilante or Vigilante. It was misspelled. It said Vigilante instead of Vigilante. I got that in the mail, and I ended up taking the decals off and spray painting the thing navy blue, as you can tell. So now the whole thing's blue. I also ordered some decals, one of the few remaining decals for that model, from one of the sites. I think it was probably Hobby Golf. And I got those, and I put the decals on and put a clear coat on it, and that's what we have today. Original servos from this plane, the original motor from this plane, all the wiring from this plane, the speed controller, everything from inside of this airplane is now in here. I also kept the canopy, and I kept the wing missiles. I don't know if anybody noticed the pilot in there, but he's not your typical FMS pilot. You might have noticed that. But the FMS pilot has a gray helmet and a full-faced oxygen mask. What I did is I took an X-Acto blade and trimmed off the mask and formed his face. And I left a little piece there to make his microphone, because Blue Angels don't wear O2 masks. I also, you got a good glare here, took a milk carton and I cut the curved end of the milk carton to form his face shield, and then I glued that in place. Painted up his uniform. I also gave him an instrument panel, as if you can see it. I don't know. It's hard to get it. There you can see it there. It's here on the bench because I tried to maiden this thing last month, a few weeks ago. Tried to hurry up a maiden, and I botched the launch. It was a hand launch. I did not put the wheels on. I have wheels, but I didn't put it on. And I botched the hand launch terribly. And I had too much weight on the tail, so it ended up stalling. I recovered for a moment, about 2 feet off the ground. It pitched up again and rolled over and nosed into the ground. I did a little damage. I destroyed the nose cone, and I crunched up the nose a little bit here, not terribly. So it's here on the table. As I fixed it, I did a repair on it recently. It's all back together now, repainted, glued together, new nose cone, and it's ready to go. For all practical purposes, it's ready to go. And of course, the other thing I have over here is my FMS P-51. It's the version 8 14 50mm red tail. We'll talk about that a little bit more here. But that's sitting on the table not because it's being repaired. It's sitting on the table because it's just too big. I don't have a place to store it just yet. I'm working on that. She's ready to go. Another attempt to maiden this thing here. And I doubt I'll be able to do it this winter unless we really have a super anomaly warm day. But we'll see how that goes.